Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Marshall Redmayne, Super Yacht Group Chairman. Welcome to our latest one-to-one. I'm joined today by Paschalis Patsiokas, the Chief Exec of BWA Yachting, mainly in Lugano, but all over the world on a sort of global agency basis. Good day, Paschalis. How are you?
Good morning. I am great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, pleasure. So how's life over in your world at the moment?
My personal work or the business work, it's absolutely great. My twins, almost 2-year-old, we are trying to get them into nursery. The last, let's say, couple of weeks, it's been a hard kind of week with cries and this and that, but we managed to go them on the early bus, let's say, today. So I think we're going to be okay.
Good. And business in general?
Business is very good in the Med at the moment. I think we've seen a very fast recovery that I will imagine that not everybody believed we will have. So I'm pretty happy because a lot of businesses will have had a very hard time, I think, if the same sort of circumstances did stay also for this year.
Yeah. What I have as a typical question, Paschalis, is bearing in mind we're now coming out of the pandemic, or we're heading in the right direction. As Chief Exec of BWA, what have you learned in the last 18 months about yourself and about the company?
That's a lovely question, in fact. I would say we've learned a couple of things, surely. One, that it was highlighted to us in a spectacular way that yachting is a global business. And as well as, I was very, very surprised to see that as an industry, we seem to be very resilient.
Yes.
On a general point of view, I mean, you could say that we, as an industry, in any case, if you take sort of perhaps some segments of the builders and so forth, we are on the sort of touristic travel recreation industry, and those industries have suffered a lot, thousands of jobs lost, and companies, really big stable companies, have lost the ground under their feet. So I'm very thankful, and I think we have seen the resilience of the yacht industry, as well as that the immigration patterns can change very easily. Yeah. Where we had it for, let's say, as a standard, the milk run and so on and so forth, we saw different patterns of travel. And we also saw company-wise that obviously looking at the stats also this year and everything, that we saw that, and I'm very happy about it, that a lot more people are choosing yachting as, let's say, a lifestyle, after the pandemic, and while also the pandemic as well.
Yeah.
So this is, let's say, this is one. Personally, if I make an account, I would say that there was a lot more stress and anxiety, not so much for the bottom line, but because we are in the front line as agents. Are our people going to be okay? Is it something? Are we going to lose sort of people? I was sleeping and waking up, let's say, with this thought, and I found out that we do care a lot, let's say, for each other, and we saw a lot more empathy. We were shown more empathy, And we have tried to cascade that also to, let's say, to our sort of clients. And I have to say, I mean, in the end of the year, I remember the first line in the annual report to the shareholders. I just draw that I am just very thankful, no matter the bottom line. I'm just very thankful that everybody's okay that I know of, and we had no serious hospitalizations or even worse.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, I was talking to Francesco and Jan yesterday from your team on another subject, and what was interesting is that they mentioned things that the relationship you have with the captains and crew became stronger because they wanted more support almost in the pandemic year. So it maybe changed some of the dynamics of the BDA proposition base in some ways.
It was. I mean, for many yachts, there was a strange time for everyone. We didn't know what will happen in the beginning, how fast it will spread.
Yes.
Are the crews going to be okay? Are they going to get fired and let's say have a skeleton sort of crew? We were worried, let's say, also about that. And then if you go down this path, what about the recovery? I mean, the trust between sort of the crews and the owners and the whole industry will have taken a really, really big hit. We didn't see this happen, and we're very, very appreciative, let's say, of this. I'm sure the crews were as well. Nevertheless, you are not in your place. You meant to be in your house in these sort of difficult times until you get a better sort of understanding and you digest things a little bit. So there was a lot of crew out there with great measures of distancing, and we got together and we said, all right, I mean, they really need help. We gotta be there for them. It's not about only being there for them when there is a charter on board. So we gotta be there for them. We gotta be innovative. We gotta absolutely try and unlock the bureaucracy of every country to be able to have an insurance policy. If somebody gets sick, and again, you remember, I mean, every country was sort of there was difficulties. The hospitals were really, really full, and we were worried. In every location, what would the country choose to do? I mean, is it going to give priority to residents, let's say, or nationals, or are we going to throw in the bin our principles, or not? And very happily, I understood that we didn't in any case, but we were there in everything that we could, let's say, do for them. And I think that inevitably grew, let's say, the bond between, let's say, sort of the agent and the client. And we are happy, let's say, to continue this and be there whenever we are needed.
Has this changed the role of the agent at all in any way?
I think I can answer that in a couple of years. I mean, is this going to be a break where, for example, for a period of time, there is sort of a different bond, like you have in the relationships in difficult times, but then you go into normality and things go, let's say, sort of back to normal. If you ask me, let's say, to predict, I would say we have some way for the normality now, also with new Delta variant, which is not the best thing that could, let's say, sort of happen to us. But I think inevitably this bond does not go away. We remember people that they were there for us in the difficult times, and we forget people that they were with us in the in the hard times, the easy times, a lot sort of easier. But even if it does, it's not a problem, I guess. In any case, I mean, it is a part of our job to be there in the good and the bad times.
Yes.
And if it stays, so the better.
Yeah. So my next question is, Paschalis, what frustrates you about our industry?
I try not to get, let's say, frustrated by things I don't control normally. I could be, maybe I'm disappointed about some things. I think we can do better as an industry in some things.
Like what?
Some of them will be, for example, I tend, let's say, to not like the opportunities and the short termings in the industry. I think it hurts us all.
Yes.
And this is, let's say, one. I think we can get together, exchange more freely information, and lobby all together to represent the industry a little bit better. I mean, from where when I started 15, let's say 20 years ago, yachting was a lot more sort of, idealistic in a sense, if I use the right word, or at least, you didn't see the newspaper every time there is a bad incident, there is a super yacht,
Yes.
right, right on the top. And I think that has sort of brought some, excuse me, that has sort of changed a little bit the perception of the wider public for yachting. And do we see that as well on the curve of how, let's say, how billionaires grow and whom of them own a yacht? We have seen the curve, the gap getting larger. I think that's a little bit, let's say, dangerous.
Yes.
We can do better. If you see the curve back in 2010 was a totally different case. We lost ground as an industry in attracting new clients the last 10 years. We must take this seriously. What we are doing wrong, we need to lobby, and I don't think we are doing this, let's say, enough and in a concentrated manner. That's a little bit frustrating.
Yeah. So, but what do you think we can do better, though? What do you think we can do to make sure that those potential clients think yachting is their sort of next pastime or next leisure activity?
I think we have to connect more the industry members, and everybody from their part can do something in trying, let's say, to give data and in representing the industry a lot better, to show practically that the vast majority of the industry, it's families and couples, and they do enjoy practically this fantastic and very privileged sort of way of life. And some of this is new money, some of this is very old money. You got boats that have like 7 or 8, or you can think that there was a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 kind of thing. And I also think in representing the industry a lot better, I don't think we have been outspoken enough in a lobbied manner about the social impact that our industry has on the places, the locations, a second on different levels of employees and the society.
Yeah.
I mean, who builds these people? They are not built by robots.
Yeah.
I mean, who services them? They are not serviced, let's say, by. It's all, let's say, it's all a community, which sometimes reaches the most remote sort of places. And I really, really try inside the company to talk about it and say, hey, listen, I mean, we are in more than 20 countries.
Yeah.
Do we have a great influence where the yacht actually go? No. But we do have some on, let's say, their itinerary, and they are movable assets. And I think if the service is better, the expectation are being built the right way for its place and country. Each community can actually attract more cash for the community. Right? It doesn't go, for example, it doesn't go in Santorini, it can land in Rhodes.
Yeah.
I have made, let's say, statistics that show that for every €2 we make as an agent, there is 10 spent overall, let's say, in the community. And you know, your restaurant, your cleaners, anything they might, let's say, use and want. So that's a powerful message for the community to say, yeah, these yachts, do leave money, and also except from money, I think we have seen, if you're yachting, let's say, long enough, well, there is no Saint-Tropez without the yachts, right? I mean, if you see in a remote Greek island for 3 consecutive years, or so be it, more and more yachts go, and the publications, let's say, show that inevitably the asset prices in the islands are going to, I'm just picking an island, let's say, for example, are going to grow. There is going to be more tourism, because suddenly somebody sees that in Germany and says, well, I mean, it's Skiathos or let's say an island, for example. It must be something there. I mean, these people are not, let's say, mad going there. So then there is a certain kind of, may I say, of trend or positive advertisement indicates that it will help also the people that are not involved in yachting.
So are you saying that the regions of the Mediterranean or globally still don't understand the economic value of yachting?
I think they don't, and I think we haven't done a good job enough. We haven't went outside the industry. We haven't promoted it to schools. Let's say, just to show the cycle. It is a little bit of a secretive industry.
Yeah.
And a private, let's say, industry for many reasons, which some are really, really, really good. That doesn't mean, in any case, that we, couldn't be a little bit more open on general sort of statistics and highlighting more. Yeah. And as well, I think we're going to find in front of us in this community, in the same communities, and especially in more remote communities, not the communities that they already know that they have benefited a lot, let's say, from yachting. Also challenging the environmental impact that those yachts have. And I was looking at I don't know if you watched this Conspiracy in Netflix.
Yeah.
And some statistics, I'm sure not everything is perfect 100%, but it gives some indication, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Is it, let's say, is it wise to put out there? What is the percentage really of this sort of 5,500 or 5,200 yachts, 5,300 yachts that, what is it really? 0.00001% on, whatever. And in this environmental sort of impact, you gotta show statistics and not just perceptions, I believe. Compared with other industries, with the cruising industry per se,
yes.
And how much money does the cruising industry leave per place, and how much is the environmental impact, and highlight that we are trying, let's say, even the 0.1 in any case to change that, but it's not something. I mean, you can see from the documentary. Yes. Where the problem is. It is not largely in the straws and plastic bags. No. And just and just people, if they are not shown that, I didn't know. Martin. I swear to God, I just didn't know that, say, for example, commercial fishing has that impact. And, 50+%, it's not 50 plus, 55, 60, it's 40, okay. Of all the plastic, let's say, fishing gear that they are, in this season. And I think we can play a role in showing, well, the real problems. Let's fight for the 55. Let's not fight for the 2.
Yes, yeah. Very valid. I think you're right. The perception and the image of our market needs to change. And lots of ideas and lots of strategies and lots of sort of messages putting out to the market or to the wider industries. I think you're right. You said it on. We're not joined up enough. We're not working together enough. There's lots of fragmented efforts. I feel you're right. There should be some sort of industry-wide strategy more to change this image and perception, but also to make sure any regional government or any regional authority understands the value and the economic sort of support, the social support that yachting delivers, because you're at the front line, as you said earlier on. And the front line is local communities, local suppliers. So I've got another question that links to that local supplier thing. Has the way in which the supply chain for onboard operation changed at all? Are supply chains shorter, or are they buying more local produce, or is it still buying from anywhere and everywhere in the world? It's just something I'm thinking about in terms of, I remember stories, an anecdotal story, Paschalis, about someone in New Zealand buying fish from France. And these sort of crazy distances between produce and yacht sometimes doesn't make sense. And what are you seeing now?
I will. I don't think I will give an accurate answer. I'm just going to give my perception, my opinion in a case, because we are a very fragmented industry, and every yacht from a certain size and bigger, I will say, it has its own particularities, and they operate in a different level. If we were, though, to take some conclusion, let's say, from the statistics, I think you're right. I think although we see a trend slowing down this, so they prefer, let's say, sort of local rather than, but sometimes it's just easier for the chef, I will imagine. Let's say they will prefer always the same package and presentation, let's say, rather than not knowing what they're going to get. It hedges the risk for them in the final sort of meal they will prepare. If you ask me, this is going to change, and this is going to change rapidly. I think both chains are needed, because you're not going to find everything that you want on perhaps the local market. There are some things that you need to get from England, or you need to get from Holland, but we are trying personally to change that. We are building a sort of a provisioning department or a provisioning company to explore more the local market and promote the local produce a lot more, rather than saying, we will order it, let's say, from England, just next to Heathrow, we'll be here in a day, to help also the local community, but more also to shorten the logistical chain and get perhaps fresher produce.
Yes, I was going to say, I think one of the things, whenever I'm in Greece, which I'm going to Greece in 2 weeks' time, it's like what I feel is important is the guests on board experience the locality they're in with the food, etc., because it tastes so different when you buy local. And I feel that sometimes this sort of, as you say, this predictability of people always buying from the usual supplier because it's safe or it's like predictable, but actually there's more of a sort of an adventure involved in being a chef and finding stuff that's through local communities and things. I just feel it's something that needs to evolve, not from a sustainability or supply chain perspective, but also from a sort of a creative perspective.
We need to work on the expectations.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the perfect tomato, but maybe it does, let's say, taste better, and you can actually source and know where it's coming from. I think we gotta do a better job in being able to show where it comes from and educate, let's say, in a faster way a lot more, because there is time pressures.
Yeah.
And if you need something, let's say, really fast, and you are, for example, in a remote island, to get it there, it's a bit of a challenge. It takes, let's say, some time, and time is not, let's say, it's not, let's say, the yachting forte. I would say, especially, let's say, when it's really, really busy. But I think it's mainly the suppliers, let's say, fault, rather than, let's say, the yachts. To be honest, I mean, we need to do a better job in shortening the time of delivery, of being able to track where it comes from, and to show in each country the best that you can get from each, let's say, sort of location.
Yeah. In terms of that time pressure, is there anything you think the yachts could do better to sort of reduce that pressure, that stress, and that expectation? Because it puts a lot of stress on your agents. I know that's the primary job, but I'm thinking, how can yachts get better at this?
There are ways. Always there are ways. I mean, you need a bigger budget, I guess. But I think this question, I'm biased, and I would say I'm biased. I'm going to answer it. Being biased, yeah, the yachts can use agents a little bit more and a little bit more wisely. And I think they save a lot of time.
Yes.
In general. Not only, let's say, on operations, but avoiding, let's say, some mistake which the local agent will know, certainly, and that is extremely, let's say, extremely valuable, extremely valuable. And I think to working together, we can get a lot more sort of stuff done.
Yeah.
Where I don't think money can buy everything.
No.
And especially, let's say, in some sort of secluded small communities. So time is one, but actually getting to what the guest wants and the owner wants, it is very, very important. Since I am in Greece, I'm just going to give, let's say, I'm just going to give an example. Say, for example, somebody from board, a very important person, and wants, let's say, to go to this small island, let's say, in Greece, and they, say they source the restaurants and they see there is a good restaurant, but there is pressures, and the couple, for example, or the family would have preferred that they dine alone. So somebody from the yacht goes and say that we don't work together, and someone from the yacht goes and finds Yanni, let's say in scaffolds that we used in any case, and say, well, what about closing your restaurant? How much money you want? Yanni is a simple guy. He takes it personally, kind of thing, and he says, I don't want. I mean, because it's not. I have clients that they came and they are they're holiday makers, and they count on me. They like it. It's part of their holiday. Yes. I don't want to. Then if this was, let's say, communicate, let's say, to the agent, the agent is local, for example, in Scotland, he knows Yanni, and say, Yanni, listen. No, I know. I know you got your clients and so on and so forth. And you know what? We're going to help you source another restaurant, let's say, for your clients. But it is for the benefit of the island that this person dines there, and for many different, let's say, reasons.
Yes.
And I know, your restaurant or your night is not for sale, but can we borrow it? In any case, could we work together? Yanni, and then everybody's going to see that this guy has dined in your restaurant, and maybe they might be willing, let's say, not to say who has dined, but let's say, maybe there's an article in the newspaper. So, you're going to get, let's say, so you talk their language.
Yes. Yeah.
In making, making things done, on doing things. And there are different, let's say, approaches on a corporate level and on a local level. And I think this translation doesn't always go right.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting topic, because I think what from my point of view, is there a misunderstanding of the value that an agent brings to the operation still?
Well, no, honestly, I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
Because I will have seen, as an agency, and maybe we are not, let's say, the best example, because we are quite, let's say, large for what we do.
Yes.
But on the same token, we do get statistics and know-how in many, let's say, places. I think if the proposition of the agent was not, let's say, valuable enough, I will have seen our clientele go down.
Yes.
The last sort of 5-6 years, or that I remember more 6-7 years ago, it was kind of debated. We'll have seen less and less yachts using an agent, and we don't see that, honestly. We do see a stable and growing number of yachts using an agent where they need to. Obviously, some captains and some crew will have personal relationships in some places, and that's good enough. You have a local person, for example, or you have relationships locally, to get help. But from the statistics, no. I think the agents are used, let's say, more in general.
Good. Right. So the next question is really the closing question. What is your expectation or forecast for the future, from BWA's perspective and from the market's perspective? What do you think is going to happen?
I will just, let's say, put my personal opinion. Of course, I am not an expert of all the segments. I will say I see a big wave of consolidation coming along.
Yes.
And we see it from the west to the east. We saw Safe Harbor taking over Rybovich and Fort Del Marine Center. We have seen listed companies, Marine Max, taking over Fraser's, Noble & Johnson. I am sure that there is going to be more consolidation in this segment as we go along. I believe there is going to be more consolidation in the assets, the marinas.
Yes.
And I just hopefully that the end client will get the benefit, and we're just not doing that. Let's say for the to get, let's say, a bigger margin. We do need sort of speak to simplify the industry of owning a yacht, and anybody can see this curve of how many sort of very high net worth individuals we have right now and who owns a yacht, and they will understand that there is a big potential, let's say, there, and somehow people are afraid, perhaps, of the confusion on owning a yacht, of, let's say, the different sort of level of expenses, which is not always very sort of apparent.
Yes.
And I take this from the curve. There is some reason of this curve. I mean, statistically, there must be something, and I'm very afraid that this is it. And I guess, together, and everybody in let's say, in every company can do perhaps a little bit, let's say, more. As BWA, we have always tried. I think we understood very early on that the yachts are meant to move and are not to just go around, let's say, in 2-3 ports. And they are getting bigger, and they will want to move more. And it is a global industry. And if you want to support your clients and create a community, you gotta be where they go and make it easier for them. So, BWA hopefully has contributed a lot in what we do in any case, and the level we help our clients in simplifying this inter-country nightmare. From different regulations, from different port authorities to port authorities, in easy enough, in making it just a little bit sort of easier, the inter-country itineraries and moving from country to country. And I think if everybody from their, let's say, from their perspective, they invest, they go long term, and they innovate in order, let's say, to make it easier. I mean, you can make it cheaper and you can make it easier. You gotta find a good balance. Maybe, I don't know, cheaper is not, let's say, the question, but easier for sure. We cannot make it easier a little bit for the owner, more more, let's say, apparent.
Yes.
And I'm worried. I mean, these people are not, they are very clever people, right? I mean, obviously not perhaps 100% of the owners, they have made money out of huge businesses.
Yes.
They are very clever sort of people, and to think that somebody is like challenged, but not being able, let's say, sort of to predict in a satisfactory way what the yacht will cost you. I think, looking at from a CEO perspective of a company, it's disappointing, but it is, I think, dangerous.
Yeah. No, I think it's very valid. I'm going to ask you one last thing to say. Is the you've been a CEO of BWA for what, 15 years nearly now?
No, I have been since 2017. I have been a CFO, and vice president.
Yeah. So as someone who's been in the business for a long time and had what I call an interesting strategic position, what advice would you give to other small companies in the market who may have started up in the last 5 years as a businessman?
I'm afraid my advice will be general, because each business has its own, let's say, sort of merit. But I would say, try and solve something in the industry. Don't get in it just to make it a little bit better than others. The others will always have the competitive advantage. Make it a lot better if you're going, let's say, to enter. Have a long-term plan and sort of strategy. Do not be opportunistic and short-term. It will come back to you. The industry is very fragmented, but it's also very small.
Yes.
And it is very easy to make a name, very difficult to make a name, and very easy to lose it. So, make sure that your sets of principles, your company culture, it is right. And I will also say, something, also from a different sort of point of view, from the employee point of view. I believe that there is a lot of talent coming in you. I'm very pleased because we deserve, as an industry, talent. But I am concerned that many businesses manage the employees with a 20-year-old sort of style. We need to highlight the purpose in its business, and we need to engage a lot more with employees in order to be practically a long-term business.
Yeah.
And give them career paths and structure. This industry, in general, it's, except from the big companies. Let's say if you segment and you see the companies that they have, let's say 100 and more employees, there are very few. There are few. There are a lot of small companies, and therefore I believe there is, let's say, a challenge to scale, and it's a challenge to opt for sort of long term, and really see that we need, let's say, younger talent, and the younger talent thinks a little bit sort of different, even from my age group. So I believe in order to stay competitive and in order to be able to attract talent, because we need talent, we also have to see different ways of engaging more with employees and giving them a better purpose of why we do what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Paschalis, thanks a million for your time. Wonderful to chat to you as always. And enjoy your summer. Don't get too busy.
Enjoy your holiday as well. Always lovely talking to you. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, and I'll see you soon. All right.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.